Time to elevate. You're running on empty with Matt and Tony.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of Running on Empty. I'm Matt.
And I'm Tony.
And we're running on empty. And this week we got some really exciting stuff for you. Obviously, the biggest news that we have right now is Joe Biden selecting Kamala Harris. Is it Kamala Harris or Kamala Harris? I want to make sure I pronounce it right.
I say Kamala, but I'm not really sure.
Okay, Kamala Harris. And coming up, we have got a great interview with the gentleman, Matt Beringer, who's actually one of Tony's former students, just like me.
Yeah, Matt runs the Pabst Theatre Group in Milwaukee, and he generally does about 700 shows a year. And of course, the pandemic has hit that pretty hard. And we're going to talk with him about the struggles facing entertainment venues, which is something you, of course, Matt, can opine on also.
I'm excited for that interview. And then we're going to round things out on this episode with a brand new Neil Young song, which you can find on YouTube right now. It's called Lookin For A Leader. So let's jump right into Kamala Harris.
Yeah, I mean, what I've seen on social media is that this was supposedly the safe pick for Joe Biden. And, you know, and again, in a way I can see that, right? I mean, she's a United States Senator from California. There's no way the Democrats are going to lose a Senate seat in California, correct? So the governor will appoint another Democrat. They don't have to worry about that. She, in terms of identity politics, as a woman of color, that has a powerful identification with much of the Democratic Party base.
Yeah.
White liberals seem to really love Kamala Harris. So she checks off lots of boxes. She's pretty dynamic, but maybe that leads to some of the concerns. You and I have talked about this before. I mean, one of my concerns is that someone like Kamala Harris could actually end up showing up Joe Biden.
I think from a speaking standpoint, I think she definitely outshines him in a few cases. Well, actually, quite a few cases, based upon past debates and things. I mean, it was pretty testy up on stage. And I did think that she beat him in a few of the earlier debates.
Yeah. You know, I have two major concerns. Let me back it up by saying I think out of all the names that have been floated for his vice presidential running mate, she probably at this moment in time is the best that he could have selected. But I do have a couple of real concerns. You know, one is she and her husband are millionaires, and I don't begrudge anybody for being millionaires.
Sure.
But, once again, it's the Democrats. I mean, Biden apparently already told Wall Street billionaires that nothing would fundamentally change as regards the economy. And my concern is that, once again, the Democrats maybe are losing touch with the working people out there. But we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And another concern I have is that we're in the era now of Black Lives Matter, and the Democratic base across the country is asking for a reform of law enforcement. And here you have Joe Biden, who was the author of the 1994 crime bill, which really jump-started mass incarceration in America. And Kamala Harris, as Attorney General of California, was known for being an extremely tough. I mean, did you know this? I heard this on the news last night. Donald Trump actually contributed $6,000 to Kamala Harris's Attorney General campaign. Seriously? Yes.
I did not know that.
And I can't imagine he did that because he thought she was weak.
Right.
She was a pretty tough, Attorney General. And so we'll see. But again, you look at Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Mike Pence, and then Kamala Harris, right? I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up like stealing everybody's thunder.
Yeah.
I'm saying she's clearly like the fresh face in the race now.
If I was Pence, I seriously would be terrified to debate that woman, because she's going to run circles around him. And I know the Pence supporters or whatever are going to discount that, but it is not out of the question that Trump would select a new vice presidential candidate. I don't know if it's ever been done before, not that I can remember, but it would be interesting to see if he would do that, saying, wow, because he's always about winning. And I think he can look at Mike Pence confidently and say, I don't think he's going to win against her. He's already tried to bash Harris about a few things already on Twitter this morning. And it's just, I think he's talking to an empty audience, really, because not too much he can say. That's not going to really get him, I think, in well, not that he gets in trouble, but
yeah, there was a rumor last week that Kristi Noem, who's the governor of South Dakota, and just like Pence, she's kind of like a Trump sycophant.
Yeah,
that there was a rumor that Trump would try to dump Pence and replace him with Kristi Noem.
Really?
Yeah, I can't see that happening. I mean, Pence has been such a suck up to Trump.
Well, I mean, I think the only reason he'd pick her is so he can get his face on Mount Sorry. that whole thing, like the fact that he actually asked her is just like arrogance at a level that I don't think I've ever seen.
But actually, Matt, I want your view on this though. Back to Kamala Harris. Does she really help Biden? The swing states in 2016 clearly were Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Ohio is always a swing.
Sure.
Florida. Does Kamala Harris, do you think, help Biden in all those states?
I think it's going to help him. I don't know if it's going to help him the amount that he's expecting. I think it's going to help a little bit because, those, especially Wisconsin, let's go to Milwaukee, for example. It's a predominantly Black town, I believe. And I think that's going to carry a lot of weight in some of the bigger cities in those states, but I don't know if it's going to be as big a difference overall. Keeping in mind, though, that these are the states that Hillary lost by a very narrow margin. So right. He doesn't necessarily need a big margin of people to switch over. And right. I think that the check boxes that she's ticking off on, for his list, I think he's like, I think it's enough that it will be, not that it's going to be a landslide, but right. I think it's going to be enough to swing it in his favor.
Yeah. See, I was actually leaning toward Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, because I thought that she would really help Biden capture those Midwest battleground states. But there was this huge pressure for Biden to choose a woman of color, which for good reason, I don't want to minimize that, but I do have a concern that I just don't know if Kamala Harris will be able to have a connection with both urban and rural voters in those states. I mean, we will soon. So it may be that this may be one of the only elections in our history where pretty much every mind is made up by now.
It has to be.
I mean, seriously, is there anyone on the fence in this election? I'd love to meet at least one person who's saying, I'm still trying to decide how I'm voting. So at this point, regardless of who the VP selections are, this may just be a case at this point of making sure that we have the most free and fair election in history.
Yeah.
Because the Trump people have made it clear they're going to do whatever they can do to depress the voter turnout.
And with the appointment of the new postmaster, I just saw an article this morning that they are removing in Iowa, they're removing these mail sorting machines.
Yeah. See?
Why? I have never seen voter suppression at a level that I've seen it this year for this election.
Yeah, see, they're looking at the polls. They're seeing that it's looking really good for the Democrats this year. And so the answer seems to be, well, let's just prevent them from voting somehow. And I think we have to really do whatever we can to make sure that every citizen in this country that wants to vote is able to vote safely.
Safely. Yeah. I mean, we've been doing it in Colorado here. We have mail-in voting. It's fine. We've been doing it since we moved here. It gets sent to us. We if we have a question as to what it is that we're actually voting for, because a lot of them are referendums and things, it fully explains it. There's even a website that you can go to. You fill it out. We sit down. We have a discussion over it. We don't necessarily all have to vote the same way in our house, but we talk about it. It's something that we, it's a around the dinner table, a family discussion, which is sadly lacking in today's society. We should have a lot more time to do it now, but we talk about it. Then we put it in a secure envelope, and we can either put a stamp on it and mail it, or we can go down to it's actually our DMV has got a drop-off box, and it's safe and secure and everything else. We've never worried about it. It's not
right.
It's a non-issue. People are making it such a big deal. And I'm going, really? You want to get up and want to go somewhere? That's fine. I get it mailed to me. And then when I go to the grocery store, I drop it off. It's not a big deal.
Well, and there's no doubt that the states that have the most mail ballots have the highest turnout. I mean, that's not even debatable at this point.
Yeah. And I think this election, Trump's going to do something that I don't think he expected. He's going to cause the young folks to vote with this ban of TikTok and this other chat app or whatever it is. This is the major form of communication for a lot of people. There's a friend of mine that's a social media influencer on Instagram, and she lives in LA. She got like 5,000 followers. But people listen to her and follow what she does. And she does a lot of stuff on TikTok. And TikTok is I think, almost single-handedly responsible for keeping that Tulsa rally at as few people as possible. Obviously, supporters that wanted to see him are going to go out, and that's fine, and they shouldn't be discouraged from that. But TikTok, swiped all the reservations and all these other things. And this is a personal move by him. This is definitely, he's like, wow, if I can do this and it can, make me have an advantage, I'll do it. I don't think it has anything really, they talk about spying and whatnot, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you mentioned the word entertainment somewhere in there, and that might be a good transition to our interview.
Yeah,
we are going to talk to one of my former students. He graduated about 10 years after you did at UW Oshkosh, and his name is Matt Beringer, and he's going to tell us about what it's like, being a concert promoter in a pandemic time. And so why don't we go to that interview right now? All right. We are now pleased to be joined by another one of my former students. His name is Matt Beringer. And Matt's been working as a concert promoter and venue operator in Milwaukee, Wisconsin since 2004. Matt's company, the Pabst Theatre Group, PTG Live Events, manages 4 concert venues, which include the Pabst Theatre, the Riverside Theatre, Turner Hall Ballroom, and the Backroom at Collectivo, and produces over 700 events per year. Over the course of his career, Matt has worked with a diverse slate of artists that includes everything from Bon Iver to the Allman Brothers Band, Jon Stewart, Dolly Parton, Mumford and Sons, Vampire Weekend, Jim Gaffigan, and many more. Matt Beringer, thank you so much for being with us today.
Hi.
All right, great. Now you also, yes. Now I said you were one of my students. What year did you graduate?
It was 2003.
2003.
So,
and
yep.
You almost immediately went down to Milwaukee to work in the entertainment industry, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, when I came down and got a job down here at the Pabst Theatre when it was really just one venue and me and about 4 other people working in the office, and we were doing 30 shows a year, and that was that. So it's been pretty explosive growth since that time.
How did you go from 30 shows a year to over 700?
I mean, just, it really did come down to, I think we took a different approach to the business and looked at it from the standpoint. I mean, number one, we started adding venues to the company's roster, which I think is a big piece of the puzzle, but then also shifting it from being primarily a rental house where people would come in and rent the theaters to being actively booking, actively promoting shows. And there's some necessity there where you start saying, okay, we have to look at this in a developmental way where we're bringing new artists into the, into the marketplace that it takes years to develop. And so we have something like the newest venue that we've added was actually the Backroom at Collectivo. And it's kind of counterintuitive that we would be adding something that is, 300 capacity versus other larger rooms where there's more financial ability. But that was really important to us to be, developing and breaking acts in the market.
Right, exactly. Now, of course, the pandemic, I would say, has been pretty devastating, correct?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
So give us a sense since March, what has happened at your venues?
Yeah, I'm sure for a lot of people, they all have kind of, where were you when, the kind of, and for us, it was really the same kind of situation. We had a weekend where we had about, 10 shows over the course of a single weekend. A lot of them were sold out. And at the beginning of the week, we started to see some traffic drop off. And as it was clear that we were headed to a much larger kind of crisis than a lot of people realized, things just started knocking off the fence. And it was literally a case where it was like I went to bed one night with, a calendar full of months of shows and woke up the next morning with the kind of stark realization that at that time, most of it would have to cancel or reschedule. And so we shifted into this mode of just furiously rescheduling shows, saying, okay, I'm going to move things out to June, or I'm going to move things out to July, stuff that was in March, April, May. And there was this period where it was pretty clear that the timing was just sliding back. And we just had no idea how much longer things were going to take, how much longer it was before we were going to be able to host shows again in any real capacity. And I think with the latest, surge that really started in July, it's become abundantly clear to us that there for sure will, not be ticketed shows of any size in 2020, in this calendar year. Wow. And a lot of estimates are sliding back a lot further than that. I think the most extreme one I've seen was this guy, Mark Geiger, who's influential in the industry. It was previous head of music with William Morris Agency, and he made this prediction to Bob Lefsetz on his show that there'd be no concerts to 2022. Now, I think that is extreme. Wow. I don't think that that's where we're headed, but I think that it's not completely irrational either, which to me is shocking. Right now, our models are, trying to be more optimistic than that and saying maybe mid 2021, we start to get the wheels back on. But I never anticipated, we've always done a good job, I think, of planning and thinking about the future and saying, okay, we've really got to plan for that crisis moment. I've never anticipated any crisis like this. I don't think anybody could have,
No. Matt King, feel free to jump in here whenever you want.
Well, I see things from a performer's perspective. We had a full year of shows. I mean, we do game shows primarily for casinos and corporate events. And we were actually booked into March of next year. And I remember the first one came in was the White Sox. They had sent us a contract saying, hey, there's this COVID thing going on. We'll kind of do a wait and see, but we're not canceling it yet. And the moment that canceled, everything else, little like dominoes, very quickly fell off, and our year emptied out. I remember it was Friday the 13th, March 13th. Yeah. And by the 14th, we had no shows till the end of the year. Some shows tried to rebook for like September, October, November, and even those have canceled now. I follow Broadway pretty closely, and they're talking about maybe March being back in, up and running, but nobody could have even, as a business owner, I never expected anything like this. You figure you're pretty safe, and we do 60 to 100 events a year, so not terrible, but 700 events going down to zero, I can't even imagine. I know the anxiety I felt just looking at the rest of my year being empty for what we do, and you're doing it from multiple perspectives, multiple venues. I can't even imagine what that felt like.
It's funny how you mentioned the timing and dominoes falling, because it brings me back to something we said in those early weeks, which was, look, South by Southwest canceled, and that was one domino. And then Coachella canceled / rescheduled, and I said, okay, that was another domino. And then the NBA suspended the season, and then the day after that, it just started raining dominoes. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
And that's how. And now it's been more of a, I feel like I'm in like a zombie movie where they have to move from, you know, how do we deal with the zombies to now how do we live with the people who are being chased by the zombies, and all in various iterations of, you know, desperation and, you know, that kind of thing. And by the end of the zombie movie, it's been really easy to figure out how to kill a zombie, but how do you deal with people who are, you know, have had their, you know, now it's getting nasty out there, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really nasty.
Matt, how many people are employed by the Pabst Theatre Group, and have you had to lay off employees?
Yeah. Well, I mean, our total like part-time staff, that was immediate, and that's over 200. And we have 40 full-time. We have hung on to more people than I think a lot of our peers, but we're still down to about 50% of our normal full-time payroll.
Wow.
And just trying to manage that. So it's been, it's for sure difficult.
All right.
Wow.
Recently, you forwarded me some information about a piece of legislation in Washington.
Yep.
I think it's called the Save Our Stages Group.
Save Our Stages Act.
Save Our Stages. Yeah. It's co-sponsored by Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota and John Cornyn from Texas. So it's bipartisan. Can you give our audience a sense of what would that legislation do?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that legislation is looking at, you know, independent venues specifically, because right now in the entertainment landscape, you have a shrinking number of independent, you know, venues and concert promoters because of entities like Live Nation and AEG. And what Save Our Stages is doing is saying, okay, let's identify those entities and let's bring them support in the form of grants. You know, there's a talk about in the bill about retroactive tax credits and those sorts of things, and some devices that can help get these venues through to the other side. If there's not legislation at some level, I think most of these venues will close. You know, and when you look at like the first PPP, for instance, I think it's really clear that for most people, that was not enough. You know, for us in the interim, it was very valuable and very helpful, and certainly better than nothing. But especially when you look at the difference between a business like a independent venue that's completely closed, versus, you know, a lot of the other businesses that receive PPP money that are still able to, at some level, function, at some level, do business in the normal scope of what they do, you know, albeit the economy significantly down and that sort of thing. But there needs to be some kind of, you know, assist here for the venues, and that's what Save Our Stages is designed to do.
Do you know where it is right now? I mean, does it have a shot of passing?
Yeah, there's been some encouraging things, especially, you know, Friday we heard that Chuck Schumer had signed on to co-sponsor as well. And I think there's some positive things there, but it's complicated because, as you guys, I'm sure know, there's a lot going on in Washington right now as far as some of these things becoming footballs and what gets knocked off. And, you know, I think that, you know, it's not a universal thought necessarily that things like independent concert venues are of critical need. So that's something that, you know, but right now, just like a lot of the other legislation, we're all kind of waiting on pins and needles right now to get, you know, Congress and the Senate to actually do something, because there are greater issues out there too that affect this, specific to the federal unemployment subsidy there, the $600 a week. that's critical to us staying at some level connected to our employees that we've laid off,
Sure.
or employees who are on like the Wisconsin work share, who fortunately are getting a bit of a lifeline there as well. So all of that is tied together, because it's about supporting the ecosystem of the concert venues and the downtown experience and the entertainment scene here.
Yeah. And you guys also have taken a hit with the cancellation of the Democratic National
Yes.
Convention,
Yeah.
right? That that was going to be held in Milwaukee this year, right?
Oh my gosh.
And that would have been huge for you guys.
Yeah, it is. It truly is Milwaukee's greatest summer lost. We look at, we were in this situation where just the things that were lining up in our venues were beyond incredible. And, we had Turner Hall was going to be the CNN Grill, and we had a ton of, artists coming to play the venues, and, people holding their parties here. And and for the city of Milwaukee, it was just going to be something that I think was going to be a real crowning achievement for the city, and a real needed boost to the economy here. And so, like, for us, in a normal year, July is a pretty slow month because we're dealing with festival traffic and outdoor shows and that sort of thing. And we were slated to have, I think, one of the best months in the history of our company in the month of July because of DNC. And then it just, see you later.
Are you doing anything with it at all?
Nothing.
Oh,
no,
wow.
It's very contained here. I just heard this morning that there are actually directives out to, and then don't quote me on this because I don't have a firsthand source, but there's some level of directive of, to people that are participating here, trying to stay away from restaurants, stay away from bars, those sorts of things, because, and understandably, the main, important piece here is that everybody stays healthy and safe. But if there was any question that there was, going to be any kind of impact here, it is completely gone. The hope is that the city can reattract it in 2024 for what that's worth.
Sure.
Well, I'm a little bit disappointed that the Democrats have not already come out and said, we're going back to Milwaukee in 4 years.
We are too.
It's the decent thing to do.
Yeah.
Right. We know you don't have that much more time with us, Matt, but just what do you see as the best case scenario going forward?
I think the best case scenario really is that within some time in 2020, that some of these localities can kind of get their acts together in terms of how we protect ourselves from this virus, and we can start to move things into a direction where our industry and the other industries that have been affected by this can be more confident about moving forward in 2021. And that is, frankly, a really tall ask right now versus how I think a lot of our, how this has been handled thus far from the federal response on down. It's been very disappointing. I think, go ahead.
I'm sorry. From a performer's perspective, what's frustrating is that wait and see. Nobody really knows. So I'll use just casinos as an example, because we used to do, 1,000-person, big game shows, and we can't do that yet. Now they can't even do promotions yet. So while we're ready to go and they're kind of ready to go on these things, we're still going to wait on it. We can't wait much longer.
Yeah.
We're at that crunch time where waiting till the end of the year is going to a lot of I think we'll be one of the ones that survives this thing, is from a company perspective. But there's a lot of folks out there that aren't going to make it, that won't be able to perform anymore when this is done. They're going to have to do something else. And this is my life. This is what I do. So I don't necessarily want to be an office person, or not that there's anything bad with it. It's just that you work 25 years to build something up, and to have something being taken away that's not your fault is really frustrating.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I'm with you.
Any other questions, Tony?
No, I know that Matt's got to get to another meeting, and I tell you, I really admire both of you guys. I mean,
Thank you.
You both have the grit and the determination and the resilience. I mean, if anyone's going to be able to get through this, it's you guys.
Thank you.
You know, and I mean, you took classes from me. You can't go wrong, right?
Yeah. Talk about grit.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Matt Beringer, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have you back maybe a few times to give us updates on what's going on down there.
It'd be fun. Yeah, I think that'd be great. And it's great to hear, Tony, it's great to hear from you. I've always enjoyed our conversations, and so I really appreciate the invite. So I'll be
Same here. Same here. All right, we'll talk to you again soon, Matt. Bye-bye.
All right.
Thanks, Matt. Take care.
Well, that was good.
That was very good.
Yeah.
When you get three people, sometimes everybody wants to, like, I had a question, but I wanted to, the wait and see is killing me. It's absolutely killing me because, like for example, I talked, I'm reinventing products, and I think having him back on, like a month from now or something, saying, "Hey, Matt's back. Let's talk about the state of the, entertainment industry." I think that's because of our show. I think that's really, really relevant.
Absolutely.
And especially what I kind of want to get into in another conversation is, entertainment is so valued in this country. Our country has worked really, really hard at distracting people from the important things. And entertainment, sadly, is part of that distraction. So instead of paying attention to like issues and candidates and policies and whatnot, they're like, no, man, I got to watch my football. I got to watch my, I love football. I love that all other stuff too. But if you valued it that much when things were okay, why don't you value it that much now?
Exactly.
So let's work on a solution here. So what these politicians are working on, as far as getting money back in the performers' pockets, I know it might not necessarily affect me, but like the independent venues, like the CBGBs of the world, those places are going to die because they're not big. Like he said, the 300-person venue, you're not going to. What is in a time when things are good, that's a good venue to have. In a time when things are bad, that's like the worst thing to have.
Absolutely.
But, I've got 17 people that get 1099s for me that haven't got a 1099 this year. It's crazy. All right, Tony, to close out the show today, we are going to be talking about Neil Young's new song, Lookin For A Leader.
Yeah, Neil Young has always found a way to stay current and topical on American politics, which is a little bit ironic because he's Canadian, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's a U.S. citizen now.
Yeah.
But he's Canadian by birth. And, back in 2007, I mean, he did a lot to encourage Obama to run. And I think he was a big Obama supporter.
Yeah.
And he's clearly been horrified by Donald Trump. I think didn't he threaten to sue Donald Trump for using, was it Rockin' in the Free World?
Yeah, Trump used Rockin' in the Free World, and you got to have permission for that.
Yeah.
It's not just something you can just do. I mean, I suppose people do it all the time, but not when you're supposedly the leader of the free world.
So what does this new song, Lookin' For A Leader, seem to be about?
I actually have the lyrics here, and then we're going to play it in a little bit, but it's talking about things that we want our country back, and like I'll use this, looking for a leader to bring our country home, reunite the red, white, and blue before it turns to stone. Because we are in a downward spiral, and a lot of folks still don't see it. And you know what? I can't necessarily, like I've heard Bill Maher say this, I can't necessarily dislike or hate the Trump supporters. We just need to educate them a little bit more. That's all. But we're in a downward spiral that we're not going to be able to get out of if he gets reelected. And I think a lot of common sense folks out there, like folks like Neil Young, are kind of like, you know what? I say my message best through music. I'll go way back, and I want to put this on another show as a John Wesley Harding song, "The Truth," which is still relevant today. But something like this, it'd be interesting to listen to this song 4 years from now and kind of be like, wow, remember when Neil Young wrote that? And he's looking for a solution. He's looking for that answer in this song.
I'll tell you what, though, one thing that kind of, I don't know how to put it, but here's Neil Young, who's got to be, what is he, like 72, 73 years old?
Yeah.
Right? So he's like an older baby boomer now.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, Donald Trump is president today because of older baby boomers.
This is true.
Right? And so, these are the people that were the hippies in the 60s or, leading student protests, right? And so, I'd love to see Neil Young really go out after his own age group, because often he's still producing music for the youth. And I mean, that's great. But yeah. I think the youth often unfairly get blamed for some of the problems in this country.
Yeah.
Right? It was not the youth that gave us Donald Trump. It was not the millennial generation or the Zoomers that did this.
No.
Right? This was solidly the silent generation and the baby boomers. They did this.
Yeah.
Right? And they need to fix it. Right? Will they fix it?
Well, I think this, yeah. I think this song though does appeal to that group, because it's like, the people that have always loved Neil Young be like, yep, he's got another one here. Then he's telling the truth. So I think this does appeal to, I'll say the boomers, if you will. But I think it also appeals to the younger kids, because a lot of younger kids are just kind of getting into Neil Young right now.
Oh yeah.
And I still think a lot of his music is relevant. And, this is definitely a song. That's one thing I like about Neil Young. But also one of the things that kind of pigeonholes some of his songs is that, here's an event. I kind of like Tracy Chapman, if you will. Like something happens, she writes a song about it. This is that type of song. So here's a pretty unique event, place we've never been before. And, here's somebody singing about, boy, we need, we're looking for a leader to get us out of this mess. But a lot of artists do that too. Let's use, I think, was it Alan Jackson? Where were you when the world stopped turning?
Oh yeah.
9/11, profound song. I don't know that this has the profoundness of a song like that. Completely different thing, but the world changed that day. And the world has definitely changed over the past 4 years. Some people can see that, some people can't. Neil Young can definitely see it. And I think part of this, just a personal thought, but I think he might have written this song in anger at the president. He's like, you can't use my song, so I'm going to write one that you'll probably never, ever use.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now that we've built up the anticipation, let's get to the song.
Maybe it's a woman or a black man after all, looking for a leader to bring our country home, reunite the red, white, and blue before it turns to stone. Looking for somebody with the strength to take it on, keep us safe together and make this country strong. Walking among our people, there's someone to lead us on. Lead a rainbow of colors in a broken world gone wrong. Barack Obama, and we really need him now. The man who stood behind him has to take his place somehow. America has a leader building walls around our house. We don't know Black Lives Matter, and we got to vote him out. We got our election, but corruption has a chance. We got to have a big win to regain confidence. America is beautiful, but she has an ugly hiding in his bunker, something else to lie about. We don't need a leader building walls around our house who don't know Black Lives Matter, and it's time to vote them out. We're looking for a leader with the great spirit on his side, looking for a leader in this country far and wide. Looking for a leader with the great spirit on his side.
Okay, so Neil Young, "Looking for a Leader," great song. And instead of us doing we talked about doing like rants and things at the end, we're going to open it up to our listeners. What did you think of the song? You know, send us a note, send us a message, send us an email, and we'll have it in all the description and everything below. You could send us some stuff, but you know, let us know what you think of the song. Did you like it? Did you not like it? If you did, what did you like about it? If you didn't like it, please tell us. You know, we want to try to represent both sides if we can. I know we have our own opinions on this show, but we want to try to get, you know, as much, I guess, of both sides talking as possible. So let's open up the discussion, and we can talk about it on the next show.
Yeah, looking forward to that next show, Matt.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Tony. Thanks again to Matt for coming on for the interview. And good luck, Kamala Harris. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm Matt.
I'm Tony.
And we're running on empty. We'll see you next time, everybody. Stay elevated.
You're running on empty with Matt and Tony.